for part of the time, at least, Mr. Producer, wasn't Donald Trump giving a speech? So for part of the time, presumably when he's going from the White House, giving a speech, greeting people, going back to the White House, it's very conceivable his phone wasn't even turned on. I'm just saying, ladies and gentlemen, nobody's had an opportunity to respond to anything, to any of this. Nobody. It's all one-sided. It's all being leaked. It's all intended to persuade you through the corrupt media.
So that is Mark Levin, who spent several years on a daily basis bursting blood vessels in his brain over Hillary Clinton potentially hiding literally anything that she did as Secretary of State. Now his job, and he's very clear about the effect that media is going to have on this in that clip, saying that it is corrupt media trying to persuade you. He's in the middle of doing that, persuading the right wingers that a 7-hour, it's basically like the Kool-Aid man has burst through the White House call logs. That's not something you should worry about. Because okay, 7 hours sounds really bad, but he was doing a speech for part of it, probably had 2 or 3 extended bathroom breaks, a couple of brief micro seizures. I mean, that's really gonna cut it down to 5 hours out of the call logs. Is that really something you should be worried about? But it's not just the numbers that he's going to be defensive about. He's going to himself identify reasons we should be concerned about this in his effort to convince us that we in fact should not, as you'll see in this clip.
The records show former White House chief strategist Stephen K. Bannon, who said on his January 5 podcast that all hell is going to break loose tomorrow, spoke with Trump twice on January 6th. Okay, what does that have to do with anything? That could have been any time on January 6th. So you see how the game is played? And what if the president did use his private phone? I think he was known to use his private phone. We know Obama used his private phone. We know Hillary used her private phone. We know nothing ever happened to them, whether it was Benghazi, whether it was Hillary destroying emails, whether anything of the sort.
But you cared about that. You made a massive deal about that. There were multiple congressional hearings about all of the stuff that you're now so whatever. Nobody actually cared about that stuff. And so he talked to Steve Bannon. And Steve Bannon predicted chaos, and chaos indeed happened. That could have happened at any time. That's our point. We'd like to know the time, but they're hiding it, buddy. Jordan, this is so amateurish, this effort to, we know if Biden went off comms for a minute and a half, they'd be freaking out. It's 7 hours. What would it take at this point to get them to be consistent?
Yeah, the comparisons to Obama and Hillary, and do you remember the outrage over the visitor logs? They were all up in arms during the Obama years that they weren't releasing the visitor logs to the White House. And that was proof that there was shady dealings happening. And obviously everyone remembers the Hillary email scandal. And he says, well, nothing happened to them, but you tried, you wanted something to happen. So it's not just that okay, because there was no consequences, there shouldn't be any here. It's that now I don't even care anymore. I don't even want the first step, which would be an investigation or hearings or anything about it. But it's not that. It's that it's their guy. And this type of hyper partisanship and the cynicism, what really gets to me is how him and others in his space, because they have wide audiences, have just brainwashed this country. And that's just what people believe. It's okay, yeah, I guess the call could have been at any time. And not taking a second to think oh no, they were probably talking about this while it happened. He probably was not shaking hands with people and being greeted back at the White House for 7 hours. Yeah. It's ludicrous. This is childlike reasoning.
Exactly, and it'll be convincing to millions of people. And we've thrown out the hypothetical what if Biden did? No, but this isn't just to get them to be consistent about if Biden did it. If there was a 7-hour gap in Biden's call logs, we would be highly suspicious too, and we should be. And one of the earlier points he made, it's not fair for them to have leaked this information. No one's been able to respond to it. Well, first of all, it's been a day now, but it had been most of a day by the time he recorded that. They could respond to it. They could react to it. Also, by the way, they're the ones who scrubbed it. They pre-acted to it. They're the ones who did the thing. We're reacting to the insane scandal that they decided to launch into. The response where you cannot talk about a scandal until the people who did the crimes decide to talk about it publicly. That is not a way that he has approached any scandal ever in years and years of covering political news. So you should be highly suspicious that that's his approach now.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.